And now, direct from an underground bunker right outside Enumclaw, it's time for another episode of The Survivalist. Brought to you by the Church of the Triumphant Universal Order. Come for communion, stay for target practice. And by G. Gordon Liddy's home self-defense video. Because sometimes you just need to know how to kill a man with a pencil. Now, here's your host, Tex Raynor.
Hi, welcome to another episode of the show. You'll notice there's a slight smile on my face this week, fellow survivalists. That's because my long-predicted apocalyptic disaster has finally struck the greater Seattle area. First, it was the snow, then the wind, and next, nuclear destruction as we move closer and closer to the end of the world as we know it. Now, I heard you people laughing at me as I stocked up on distilled water and Pop-Tarts. And I saw the smiles as I drove the survivalist vehicle to Bellevue Square to buy an extra pair of barbecue tongs. Well, who's laughing now, huh? Oh, hell has broken loose as calm suburban neighborhoods are transformed into a maelstrom of violence and destruction. You surface dwellers have your BMWs and Acuras in a circle, and you're trying to fend off attacks by roving packs of those golden retrievers and Irish setters you thought were your loyal pets. Ha! The power goes out, you can't make it down to IM's pet store for some Cycle 4, and the next thing you know, old Willie is baring his teeth at you. Yeah, there's a thin line between humans and animals, and when the fine fabric of civilization is blown away, we inch ever closer to each other. By the way, you can read all about that in my latest book. There's a thin line between humans and animals, and when the fine fabric of civilization is blown away, we inch ever closer to each other. Available for $10.95 through mail order or at any Bartell's drugstore. Well, time for our letter segment. This week we have a bunch of questions pertaining to the power outages. For instance, Howard from Forks writes, what type of generator should I buy? You know, I always buy American, but when it comes down to whether I'm going to watch the Super Bowl or not, gotta go with the Honda. Clyde from Whidbey Island says, I'm getting tired of eating SpaghettiOs every day. Is there something else I can try? Well, Clyde, SpaghettiOs are still my #1 recommendation as survivalist food. But if you're looking for a change, try the new kind of SpaghettiOs that are shaped like dinosaurs and sharks. They're fun to eat and just as nutritious. Now, before we go, let's take a look at this week's top 5 threats during a power outage. Number 5, chainsaw-toting yuppies clearing their driveways and getting a little too frisky with the saws. Number 4, those kids from Blanchette are still out selling their candy bars, but now they're heavily armed. Number 3, Roger Anderson, who writes the Seen, Heard, Said column for the Seattle Times. Number 2, 7-Eleven jacking up the price of Hostess snowballs. And the number one threat, women who think power outages are romantic. You think it's romantic, do you, honey? Well, how romantic do you think it is when all your Jenny Craig meals are melting in the freezer and Jason from next door is standing on the porch with his hands around his AK-47 and his eyes on your stereo system, huh? Well, I got to go out on another recon mission. Got a new pair of infrared night vision glasses. Kind of like that guy at the end of Silence of the Lambs. I mean, the guy was kind of weird and scary, but he was thinking, okay? Until next time, those of you who haven't yet heeded my warnings and taken to the hills better figure it out. And remember, I'm a hell of a lot better weather forecaster than that lame-ass Harry Wappler. See ya!